particularly common form of torture simply because it depended on living animals doing what you need them to do, but the fear that rats create made it an appealing option for particularly cruel dictators, and it made an appearance in military dictatorships in South America during the 20th century. Argentina in particular was infamous for using a retroscope to insert live rats into people and letting the creatures dig their way out. It's mostly a horrifying fact of the past, although in 2010, a man threatened his kidnapped victim with rats to get him to grant his wife a divorce. This next torture is especially horrible because the victim does it to themselves. Number 2. Yubitsume. Japan's criminal scene is powerful and secretive, and agents that fall short of a task assigned by their boss often face severe punishment. But unlike the American gangsters who might find themselves wearing cement shoes, members of the Yakuza often face another penance, less deadly but bloody. In order to atone for their offenses, they must sacrifice a piece of themselves, particularly a piece of their little finger. This is not only extremely painful, but is considered to weaken them because the little finger is key to maintaining the grip on the hilt of a sword. But that hasn't stopped it from being used for hundreds of years. The penitent Yakuza member begins by laying their hand on top of a clean cloth. They then use a particularly sharp knife, called a tanto, and slice off their little finger just above the top knuckle. They then wrap up the fingertip in a package and present it as an offering to the head of the crime syndicate. Why would they want it? Tradition, because not only was this ritual used as a method of penance, but in the past it was used as a form of payment by gamblers who fell behind on their debts. The good news is, if the agent screws up again, they can do the ritual again. The bad news is, they're gonna run out of fingers eventually. Finally, sometimes there's nothing more terrifying than nothing. Number 1. White torture. Solitary confinement is torture in itself, stripping someone of all their comforts and isolating them from any human contact. But usually, they at least have a sense of space that they can use to orient themselves. White torture strips them of even that by placing them in a cell of nothingness. The prisoner is deprived of color, giving them a cell where the walls, floor, and ceiling are entirely white. Not only that, their clothing is also white, and any food given to them, usually plain rice or porridge, is white as well. Taking this to the extreme, the cell is equipped with bright neon tubes that prevent any shadows from falling on the cell. And the soundproof cell leaves them with nothing but their own mind. And that mind slowly starts going insane. An extreme form of sensory deprivation, this was reportedly used extensively in Iran against political dissidents, who could be held for months or even years in one of these cells. It also showed up in Venezuela, and international human rights groups even accused the United States of using it on accused terrorists in Guantanamo Bay, using goggles and earmuffs to block out their senses. But in all these cases, the facilities are tightly guarded, meaning all anyone has to go on is the reports of the victims, and those are harrowing, with many claiming the extreme sleep deprivation left them unable to sleep even after they were freed, and haunted them for years afterward. What about the children? Watch Worst Punishments of Children through history. If you want to know more about these horrible punishments,